were you supposed to be before the world told us to be how we are? Now we get to go back to nature and have this radiant reset at this beautiful retreat we're having with the beautiful ancient wisdom that you're helping us tie in here and bring in.
The more you learn about Ayurveda, which is the science of life translated, Ayu means life, and Veda is science or knowledge. There's just so much wisdom to pull from there and tools that you can bring into your daily life, like grandmother wisdom.
I love that little connection, like a grandmother wisdom. Even though we are all just students of this ancient wisdom, I think that all of us have experienced something already in life that maybe you just didn't know it originated from there. And that's the kind of thing that I'm super excited about because we all are doing things, maybe just one or maybe a handful, but we're all doing things already that stem back to that and we just didn't know. And I think that it's a really pretty cool thing that we can tie some ends up together there.
You're putting together the menu for us for the retreat, and you had your own experiences eating in India. Can you share a little bit about the portion sizes that are there versus here, and
Hmm.
how you're planning on incorporating that with the menu and what we're offering for food? When we say it's a tridoshic and there's going to be food there that's beneficial for everybody, what does that look like?
Well, eating for your dosha, at least in my case, it's taken some time. So, you know, food is food, and there's elements, the makeup of the food that we're eating. And so we do our best to pick things that will help to balance. For example, if you tend to be a more dry person, then something, and cold, this dry cold, if that kind of resonates with you, then looking for something more warm and kind of moist is going to be balancing for you. And if you're someone that likes really spicy food or pickles or vinegar, we're going to also have options that are maybe more cooling for you. And in this way, we'll have delicious food and you'll get to experience the quality of it. And of course, we want to have the best quality food that we can, something that is the most alive. If you're shopping for carrots at the store, are you going for the little baby carrots that have been so processed because no carrot looks like a baby carrot, right? Or are you going for the bag of carrots with the greens chopped off? Or are you going for the carrots with the greens still attached, which still has that essence of life? And, just thinking about these things just so we can become more aware. So my travels have taught that, and we'll do our best at the retreat to just start to incorporate some of these ideas to help us think about them and make choices in our own life. And, it's funny about the portion size too, because in America, we like the big gulps or, the extra large things. And I think there's even like this kind of treating yourself by like making it a bigger size. And in India, at the ashram specifically, we were taught to take just the smallest bites so that you can really savor what you're eating. Or, the size of their serving spoons are like our eating spoons or tablespoons. Our serving spoons are so large. So it's, I think, nice for the mind to experience these just different ways of being and eating our food so that it's more of an experience and connectivity with our food. And this retreat is really so lovely, bringing us back into nature. And really also, I'm so looking forward to just some time together to unfold or, dig into all of these great principles with yoga, our physical practice and breath work, and then also the lifestyle piece that we can also begin to incorporate.
Well, and I'm glad that you said that because it's really important for me as a yoga studio owner. Our yoga doesn't stop once you roll up your mat, and I think a lot of people might think that that's true. And we try to drip little pieces of yoga philosophy everywhere inside our yoga practice, but sometimes those things don't connect the same way when you're just hearing it and passing by. But we're talking about not just what are your thoughts when you're practicing yoga. We're going to talk about what are your thoughts when you're eating this experiential food that we're going to have, not just thinking about shoving it in. What are you thinking about when you're eating it? Are you feeling fueled? Are you feeling the experience? Are you feeling the light that comes from that food? Or are you thinking about the stressful thing that happened that now you're just shoveling it in because some other idea has taken over what this experience is supposed to be? And I think those little things that turn us back, that bring us back to nature, that bring us back to the quality of what we're putting in and the way that we're experiencing it, lends to this whole experience, this experience as a human that we get to have on this world, on this plane, and the people that we get to share it with. I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. You did so well because we didn't set you up to be able to answer these questions. We were just like, here you go. Beautifully done.
Oh,
Beautifully done.
so excited for this with you girls. I really think it'll just be fun and light and a retreat, in all sense of the words, to be, able to unplug into that kind of outside world and then to plug within yourself, but also in a safe place and community. And you've picked such a beautiful space in itself that, it's just a treat to be there. And we're so close to nature around where we're staying, the activities that we'll be able to do. I know that there will be, a lake nearby, which I love the paddleboard yoga and getting outside in that way. And I'm just really looking forward to all of it.
And for people who don't know you, Kaitlyn, can you share a little bit about your story and how you went from being in corporate America to you're a medical massage therapist, you're studying Ayurveda. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you personally got here?
Well, because of you, really. Shouldn't we all just listen to our best friend? And when they say, like, I'm going to India, you should come too. I'm so glad I said yes, though. That changed my life forever. I think we all have that kind of inner guidance that we're following. At least that's my guidance. Of course, we have voices from all around us that, we can take with a grain of salt. But for me, I was on a path of being like a good person and thought I was jumping into those years of corporate America, but it just didn't set right. And it wasn't much of corporate America, but I was in an office for a couple of years. And just where I felt my life going and what I was wanting, I wasn't finding it there. And so it was perfect timing, as it always is, when my bestie says that we should go to India. And it felt like the obvious it felt like the obvious choice. And I was so lucky to be just fully supported to be able to quit my job because that is a big ask. But it felt like, again, the obvious one. And so I did. I quit everything and I left for 4 months. And I had a wonderful boyfriend who's now my husband and a lot of just support system to maintain things at home so I could be away for that much time and really let myself settle into who I am. And it really is a memory that I cherish so much because really being friends, we got to play and just be our true authentic self. But I learned a lot about India that, without having that mirror and that kind of face or mask that we kind of put on to bring ourselves to the world. For me, it was definitely an unmasking and an unlayering and, trying to be that right person. I really had to let that go and to open up to what their journey was doing for me. And I've always had an interest in health and well-being. And I've mostly been healthy my whole life, but there's always been a few things that I felt like I could feel that much better. And I found that in India, with yoga and waking up at 4:30 in the morning and doing our pranayama and meditation. And the location we were at was looking over the ocean in Goa. And we could see dolphins, but later we think that it was just a rock. But it was the most beautiful scene. And the air was so fresh um, and the people, of course, were great. That's always a big part of it, and the food. But for me, it was the experience of having a yogic lifestyle. And, we practiced like 4 hours a day. And the food that we were eating, it was only vegetarian. It was highly digestible. The system was easy to digest. And we also were in sync with nature, waking up with, the sunrise and going to bed with the moon. And I just loved how natural it felt. I learned to be barefoot for the very first time, went through the oohs and the ahs from walking barefoot in the sand and all the rough things to like 10 years later, it's my favorite way to get around is to just leave the shoes behind. So for a lot of ways, it just changed a lot, but it also awakened a lot within me, as I'm sure that you can relate to with our life experiences. And I still feel very in awe that I'm here doing what I love to do, just one door opening after the other. So um, I'm just very fortunate and very grateful that I get to share my time with other people, sharing something that I just truly love so much and has made such an impact in my life.
A lot of people don't understand the Ayurveda. When we say Ayurveda, they don't necessarily know what it means. We had very cheap Ayurvedic doctors that we were able to go to, and
Mm.
it was
Cheap as in
incredible.
inexpensive.
Inexpensive.
Really?
Oh yeah, we would pay $5 and have just an incredible experience with these doctors. My mom almost didn't come home when she was
That's
supposed to come
right.
home.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
she went to this doctor in Mumbai and she was able to help her feel good enough to get on the plane and get home. And Kaitlyn, you kind of had a bit of an experience starting to learn about these concepts without actually knowing you were learning about these concepts. Would you be willing to share a little bit about your experience in Goa, your first time in India, and how you've kind of started to learn about this medicine?
Yeah. Wow. Well, first of all, Ayurveda is so ingrained in the culture. You don't really know that it's Ayurveda. And even in India, someone might not know that they really do know about Ayurveda, but it really is in the culture. So just like you said, I really didn't know that I was being exposed to Ayurveda, but then you learn and you're like, oh yeah, everybody does it like that there. And so anyways, I just wish I would have maybe taken more advantage, but there's more time to come. So for me, my experience was a lot with my hands, is what I think you're referencing. And I'm still not exactly sure what happened, right? That's kind of how things happen in the body, is like it was one way one day and it was another way the next day. And for me, my hands became really itchy. I thought it was a parasite. I don't think it was a parasite now. I think it was something about the heat and the pitta in my body. I've learned through talking with other Ayurveda practitioners, and I've been able to heal that, if you will. I don't experience the itching hands anymore, but I did for about 7 years. I came home with my hands just literally on fire and very itchy. And that was a healing journey in itself, which I'm sure people can relate to. And for me with Ayurveda, once I stopped focusing on the symptom and I started focusing on the qualities of it, I was doing different things, enemas included. I'll share because they're so beneficial for you. And so through other realms, my symptoms cleared up, and that was really beautiful. So I learned a lot about that in India, what had a hot quality to it, even though you would think it was cooling, like mango. Mangoes, for some reason, have a hotter constitution, where watermelon or cucumber, for example, are more cooling. And so other
Are you
things I
telling me right now we're all three pitta? Are we all pitta? Really?
Well, there's something else. Good question, Tanabeth. So you have your Vrikriti, which is your like what you're experiencing, what life has done to you. And then there's your nature. And anyways, so my nature is Kaphic. I'm very earth-based and water-based, but I do have some pitta imbalances that I'm working through, which can be a challenge because Kapha is very cooling and sweet, and pitta is very hot and kind of spicy. And so things that you would give to a pitta person isn't really what you would give to a kaphic person. You know, I need the hot, warming spices to kind of get my system moving, where pitta has plenty of that. They, need some mellowing, and I'm plenty mellow. So in this way, it has been a challenge to find things that are cooling and yet also be able to help my Kaphic dosha, because I did that coming home. I was doing all the cooling things that help my hands find relief, but my Kaphic nature, I was gaining a lot of weight. I was holding on to things. Those are like my Kaphic tendencies, which we'll get into a lot at the retreat, talking about these qualities of nature. But it's helped me so much to understand myself and then to find medicine in the world around you. So if you go to India, I'm sure you'll have an experience that you'll remember forever, but it's also been the best teacher, as all great experiences are, right?
Well, you just said find your medicine, but it's in things like food and how you breathe and how you move and
Right.
things like that, right? It's not the medicine that we think of when we think of medicine.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up because absolutely everything around you is either going to bring you more into balance or more out of balance. And that's how Ayurveda looks at health. Someone that is in consistent balance is in a state of health, where we, in a Western with allopathic beliefs, we look at health with disease. Is there disease in the body or is there not disease? And then we treat the disease. So you do kind of have to put a new way of thinking on or allow other ideas to come in and then find a good balance. But Ayurveda does work well in the allopathic world with Western medicine because, again, we're all nature. So, what we're putting into our bodies absolutely has an effect on both our mind and our body. And truly, when you learn yogic principles, right, there's so much power of the mind too that it is really important what we're putting in our mind and knowing that it is going to affect our tissues as well.
From your perspective, if you could go back and tell your younger self how to see things differently, what would you go back and tell your younger self about what you know now to start that process over?
Well, the more I learn about Ayurveda, the more I wish that our youth could be exposed to this type of wisdom because I think life is like that, right? You keep learning about yourself, and, the more we know, the better we do, or whatever that saying is. But, of course, there's so many things I would do differently, and I'm still learning how to balance myself and making choices that bring me out of balance and having more awareness of what I'm doing and of those choices that, I'll make next time. But, I think it's helped me really love myself. I think being a Kaphic person, if I'm just open and honest, I've always carried weight and been just a bigger bodied person. And that was not a positive for me as a young girl. So I would give her a big hug and just really tell her how beautiful she is because there's a lot of great qualities to being Kaphic, but having a bigger body might just be one of them. And then, I'm learning how to eat light and in a normal American family, it was very much, meat and starches and even though we tried to do things like I did a watermelon cleanse. So I wasn't just eating meat. Really, I was doing great things. I ate raw for a while. That was terrible for kapha. I did a watermelon cleanse, awful for Kaphic people. Um, Apple cider vinegar, also not my friend. What I would eat if I could go back and tell her would be like lots of cooked greens. I loved salads, but no one told me I should be eating a lot of like dark leafy greens. So for a Kaphic person, that's like our medicine. And thinking warm and light, I was always drawn to cabbage soup as a kid, and that's like my medicine. But then you get older and you want to try things. And so I'd also say that, like, go back to who you were when you were 7, 8 years old. What did you love? And that could be very much, your medicine. I was automatically drawn to those things that brought me into balance and then started exploring other realms that maybe weren't so balancing. So, yeah, there's a lot of things I do differently, but such is life. We learn and grow.
How does yoga and Ayurveda pertain to just a normal person living their life in America? How can they take this and apply it to their life?
I guess my hope for someone at the retreat would just be to have some inspiration to maybe have learned that there is this thing called Ayurveda. Maybe I'm assuming it might be for the very first time. And so I think there's a lot to gain there and just wanting to seek more. I'm always a seeker and I don't claim to have any answers really. I just share what I'm learning from my teachers and so I hope they have just one little thing that they can take home and start to, incorporate in their day because it's accumulative, these things that we do, right? They're practices because they're accumulative. The power is in the consistency of it. It's not like climbing Mount Everest in a day. It's about doing those just couple little steps and then looking back and just seeing how far you've come. So Yeah, I hope there's a little inspiration, maybe a little of that like resonating, like, oh, I just knew that, right? Like I just needed someone to tell me that. I always knew it to be true. And then just like an open mind to try these things and see what feels right for you. And if I can ask you, I know that you ladies are just starting to experience Ayurveda, so I'd love to kind of turn the table around and see what you're noticing with maybe your yoga practice, how it's maybe changing that or anything. What are you noticing from the little changes that you've made?
She looks well, I have lots actually. I have done several different what we might want to call fad dieting, just trying to figure out the one that works best for my body, whether it's been the blood type diet, keto diet, low carb diet, high protein diet, like all of the things, trying to figure out what best suits me. I know that most carbs make me retain water, and I think that some of that may have been from the incorrect water intake, which Ayurveda has very much helped me with learning how, as a pitta, to drink my water differently, even at different times of the day. And it's kind of interesting because no one's telling you to drink ice water. You know what I mean? And I would tell you, as a colon hydrotherapist, to not drink ice water because it's going to slow your metabolism. Um, so it's just really interesting how different thoughts come together for different reasons, but they are all equally wonderful and help lead you down the right path. So a lot of the stuff that I have already done happens to show up in this, and in a way that maybe is tweaked it just enough to make it so that I can sleep all night long. I'm not waking up to use the restroom. I'm not waking up with pain. It's made it so that I can wake up easier. And even like the I love the 4 o'clock fruit break. I don't know. Something so little like that can just change your life so significantly. The person that I am, and Jessica can even vouch, I could drink coffee all day long, and then still hit the bed and go to sleep, but not in a productive way. My sleep has been different. My dreams have been different. And instead of thinking that I might need coffee at 2 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, I'm having another tea, and knowing that at 4 o'clock, I'm going to have my fruit break. And that fruit break gets me to my 6 o'clock. Well, I'm probably eating, depending on the day, about 5:30. And so just shifting where I'm doing things. And of course, putting in more watermelon, putting in more cucumber, some things of that nature has made my diet more interesting for me because it was very slim on what I would put in. And I feel like my brain has more outlet for creativity, even because I'm not feeling pigeonholed, even though it's kind of restrictive. It really is. Because if you think about all the things that would put somebody out of balance, there's the equal opposite of bringing you in balance, and you have times that you want to avoid certain things. And I thought I would feel restricted, but I'm not. I just feel very, like you said, more myself and in ease, which is not what I expected at all. I thought it was going to be difficult. A lot of the changes I made within the first 24 hours, and Shree's like, whoa, you're going a little quick here. Well, I expected to have some things switch right away, and it has been fairly significant. For like, I've not ever heard anyone besides a colon hydrotherapist ever talk about the circadian rhythm and how our organs cleanse themselves overnight. And Kaitlyn's mentor and teacher guru brought this into my attention with, "Yep, you seem to know all of this. Why aren't you doing it?" And I was like, "Well, my stomach is rock hard. You can put anything in that iron castle, and it just comes out like it's supposed to, except for maybe it wasn't." Maybe it was taking more energy from me than I realized, and my body was doing extra, making me tired just to get through the food that I was putting in it. And so I am extremely thrilled and so honored that you're going to be joining us. And I hope that the people that come get interested, and then maybe they end up meeting with your mentor as well to have that Ayurvedic guidance in their life. What about you? What have you noticed?
I've learned how to cook.
You have.
Simple. It's not like, but beans and rice, I mean, that's a staple. And then I can add in, I've been doing food combining, which is a Ayurvedic thing
Yes.
that your mentor talks about a lot. And so I think about it. If I'm eating meat, I ask my body, would you like a burger? And sometimes my mind's like, yes. But when I ask my body, I know that that's not going to feel good. I know I'm going to get some indigestion, some
heaviness.
Yeah. But if I just eat the burger, I feel completely different.
And why is that? Do you think people might not know?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the way that it digests? And this is something I was so thrilled. This is another thing that I would have never put in the Ayurvedic column, because this was my national certification in cold and hydrotherapy. You don't eat bananas with strawberries, friends. But everybody does that. No, you don't. And you eat melon with melon, and that's all. Like, it's really kind of crazy how we go nuts and just shove food together. And my husband will actually tell you, I've never really adhered to it as much as I am now, because my stomach would just do what it needed to do. I didn't get bloated from it, but I didn't realize it was taking energy from me, because my body didn't know what to do with putting everything in a cauldron and mixing it up. If your meat takes 7 to 10 hours to digest, why the hell are we eating it with fruit that takes 45 minutes to an hour? It makes no sense. Of course it's gonna make you feel bloated and gross. Same thing with the bun with the burger, right? Those two things were not meant to really go together. And it's interesting when we learn that food combining, how much more we can actually experience without the upset.
Mm-hmm. And it's simple. You're still eating. It's not like I'm taking food away. I'm just eating it a little bit differently. Or my water, like, rather than getting up and going straight to coffee, which has always been my thing, I drink a bunch of water. What is this, a quart?
Yeah,
a quart of water. I squat down and my colon releases. It's
bingo.
It's so simple. And it's warm water, obviously. And then the abhyanga, the oils, that feels so good.
I am so glad that you're saying this, because everyone at the retreat is going to get the abhyanga container. We've ordered the containers. We have the organic coconut oil. That was one of my homework assignments. And she told me 3 days. I'm like, girl, I'm doing this every day. I am doing this every day, and I have never ever done it in this way. And I think that if every little girl was taught to care about her body in this way, our lives would be different right now. Mm-hmm. And so I am just over the moon about the things that we are sharing, which are things as a massage therapist that we're doing all the time for other people. How are we going to bring this up for those individuals to do for themselves, to care for themselves, and to step up where their energy is spent? And I just think that that has been the most important part for me. I'm not expending my energy inside my metabolism. I'm expending it where I want to. I am cutting out that extra, using the food combining lists, using the kind of foods that I should eat as a pitta, and the timing in which we should eat it. I'm a super faster. I love to fast. And this has kind of got that built in. But it can go nice and easy if somebody's not used to fasting. The water thing. So we talked about the circadian rhythm. We want to make sure that we're not combining things that shouldn't be, because it makes it harder for our organs to cleanse. Mm-hmm. Our organs cleanse overnight, each organ at a different time, from midnight to probably 4:30 or 5 o'clock. And then we wake up. And if we get up and we just go, all of that stuff that has taken all evening to come back in through our colon to be excreted so that we can start fresh for the day, reabsorbs back into our body. It's like we're this trash compiling system that just did negative stuff to ourselves because we didn't drink the room temperature water and have a squat before the rest of the day got on. And then we wonder why things come out through our skin, right? Like whether it's our hands or our legs or our face, even our hair. And so it just all goes together. It's a holistic way of being, and we are so grateful to have you. There's something else that I think that I noticed for you over spring. Can you speak to whether or not an Ayurvedic way of living is easy or hard?
Well, we did a cleanse. So the cleanse itself was very difficult, but I think that it makes life easier.
I think so too, because she went into that. And Jessa, I've never really known Jessa to be overweight by any means, but she went through this. I don't, was it 10 days? 30 days? How long was your spring cleanse?
21 days?
21 days.
21 days later, through all of the little things that she got to experience, her face was brighter, her eyes were brighter. She seemed like she had let the weight of the world fall off her shoulders, and she was easier witnessed, even moving around in the world. Like, I can't explain to you. I was so jealous. I was like, I want that. And so I hope that everybody comes to this retreat can experience something a little bit to say, I want more of that clarity, that brightness, that amazing light going through our bodies. Because Jessa and you yourself also are just walking billboards for it, if you ask me. You're bright and beautiful and wonderful to be around. And I am just so excited.
That's the power of community. I would have never been able to step into that reality without you. And you told me for years before I actually did it to do it. But I think without that support and that connection and that just.
How are you doing today, Jessa? You making it through? This one's really hard.
Yeah.
You can do it.
It's always better together.
We need our community. We need people to say, oh, have you thought about this? Or what if we try this together? And it makes it easy. It makes it fun. And then you feel better. And when you start feeling better, you think better. When you think, but like it's just that ripple
domino. Absolutely.
Yeah, empty and clear, clear and empty. That's how we were born and designed to be. And cleansing is not easy. But Tana Beth, you're always welcome to join us.
My class is starting, so we have to let you go.
Oh my gosh, this was so fun.
This is so fun. Thank you so much for sharing.
Same.
Who knew we were going to get so excited by that question?
All the time.
I tell you, this stuff is exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Yeah. Awesome. Have a good class.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.